Welcome back, everyone. We have a special treat here of something that we get to fix. It is a TurboDuo. I never even knew one of these existed until more recent times. So I have a TurboGrafx 16. I knew there was the CD-ROM attachment for it, but I did not know there was something that was two in one, so kind of a pretty cool thing to get to work on. Now, the issue I've been told is it will not read discs, and the laser was already changed in it, so there's something else going on. From research online, sounds like it may need to be recapped, but we will take a look at it. So the first thing we need to do anytime we get something to fix is test it to see what's actually going on. Just put in Bonk's Adventures in there, and then turn the power on. Let me get that video showing on here. Okay, so everything does seem to work in here. A little bonk that bonks down on the ground and gets hit. Okay, we'll get that turned off. Pop the game out of there. Close this up, and then let's open the disk slot. So we have a game here, Fighting Street. It's one I had to borrow since I don't have any of the TurboGrafx 16 disc games in my personal collection. Okay, and then we'll lock that, get the retro window back up, and let's see what this does. Super 2 CD-ROM system version 3, push run button. If you haven't seen a TurboGrafx 16 controller before, normally there's start and select. This has select and run. So we'll hit run just a moment. It is making some noises right now. Just some regular disk spinning noises. Please set disk. Okay, so I guess that is probably the issue right there. So it does spin, and then we know the laser has been replaced in there, but it will not read the disk at all. I drop the window down, you can actually see the disk still spinning. There we go, it just stopped. Okay, now for the fun part. Time to take this apart and see what we can figure out. We'll unlock that and remove the disk, and close that back up. Then disconnect all these tentacles from it, controller and power and video. Then we'll flip this monster over. So for taking this apart, we need the tool of many names. It's the 4.5mm game bit, 4.6mm line head screw, quarter-inch drive game bit, whatever you want to call it. And it looks like we have 5 different ones of these that we need to remove from here, so time to get removing. Hopefully the lighting is a little better with this video than it's been with the previous ones. I just got new lighting, and this is the first video of trying it out. Oh, this is kind of fun. Manufactured September of 1992. Okay, before popping that off, gonna get the anti-static wrist strap on. Okay, got those bolts undone. There we go, we have 5 of them down here. Just gonna put them in a nice little cup here. And let's lift up this top. So these are the inner workings of a TurboDuo. Kind of needs to be cleaned up a bit in here, but looks like the gears and everything have recently been greased. Has the new laser in it. Going to check out all these capacitors on here. Going to start with a visual inspection on them. They all at least look to be pretty good on this side. We know the power ones were all fine because everything else turned on, but just taking a quick look up there for fun, because I haven't gotten to see one of these. Oh, there's a nice cat hair or something. So giving a quick look through of all the capacitors on here, none of them look like they've exploded yet on there. Still doesn't mean the capacitors are good, but I'm gonna pop this metal plate off of here now. Looks like we bend these. Okay, grabbing a Phillips screwdriver. Going to pop some screws out. We'll put them in another little cubby up here. So we got that one and this one over here. So the black screw was longer that goes there, and the gold screw goes up front. Well, I guess that didn't help too much. This is actually soldered down on here, I believe. Well, we'll come back to this. Really need to clean this out from underneath here anyway, so going to remove the rest of the screws around the board. So we have one here, one here, one in the center. So let's see where that gets us. Put the board screws in the next cubby over. Okay, is that gonna all lift out? We're at it, going to disconnect these connectors right here. And the red and the white connector, and is that black one going? That will also need to be disconnected. Get that away from the capacitor there. Okay, those are all part of this. And then the power part, we need to pop that out. So pull that tab back so that moves. Okay, that is actually soldered on there. It's hooked down here. Let's see if undoing this screw will forward a bit. So it's this screw right here. We're going to remove that one. Okay, and then that screw off. That cord is attached to another cord. Well then, for now, get that one attached back in there. Okay, that cord's back in. That screw is back in. So going to heat up that solder and remove that little point right there. Okay, should just be able to give that a little bit of heat. Just right here. There we go. So I believe that's all the tentacles that were attached to this assembly. That will come off also, but I was wanting to get all of this removed beforehand. There we go. Oh, just realized there's another grounded out spot right here. Go ahead and get that little dab removed really fast. There we go. Okay, we have that part up now. So yeah, this is pretty gross over here along these vents here along the back, so definitely get that cleaned up. We have our big metal shield on the bottom, which is all hooked in right through here. We move this part out of the way, and I'm going to heat up the solder right here so we can get this shield removed from here. There we go. Kind of popped up there, but that should be good. So this should all, it's going to have another wire soldered on up there. So you know what, we are going to go ahead and disconnect from here, and then that will come off with the whole shield. Kind of like a taco. These are the taco fillings. We'll get that metal shield cleaned up at a soon point. But that now gives us access to every single capacitor on here. There you go, there's the bottom side of the board. Found an area we may have to look at that doesn't look that great. The volume adjuster by the headphone jack. Might just need to get it cleaned up a little bit. Still seems to spin pretty well. Won't be that bad to get cleaned up. So at this point I need to put this one on hold because what I'm going to be doing is replacing every single capacitor on here. And I don't have enough of those types of capacitors. So I'll put this on hold and order in a whole bunch of those capacitors. So I will be back in a few seconds with those capacitors. Yo dog, heard you like capacitors. We have all sorts of capacitors for this TurboDuo. And thanks to Console 5's website, we have a list of which capacitors go where on there. Only complaint about this big box of them from Amazon is a whole bunch of them came out of their little homes on here, so have to get this all reorganized. But now back to our nice little TurboDuo board. Also for the capacitors on here, I was able to get a new toy for the arsenal. Got some hot tweezers to see if taking these capacitors out will be a lot easier. So I'm going to start putting flux on here. What we're going to do is start in sections removing all the capacitors. So starting with this section right here. So we'll get them removed in this section, get the new ones put on, and then move on to the next section. So I'll start adding a little bit of flux around each of these. If the flux thing works, there we go. There's some of these that are pretty close to other things here. So definitely have to be careful when heating everything up here. Okay, we have our flux in there for all of those ones. Going to get the fan going. Notice in another video the fan somewhat distorts my voice on the microphone, but see if that will stay at a minimum for this one. Okay, let's see what these do. Okay, they are on and kind of stinky the first time that they have been turned on. Well, that actually worked really well. Okay, we'll try this one over here. Wow. Kind of wish I had these when I worked on the Super Nintendo in one of the other videos. I'm actually going to rotate this a little bit facing this way. That way I can go at an easier angle at these. Because yeah, using just a single heating element is not as easy as having the two that go right in here. So also help out quite a bit for the for Game Gears, recapping those. This one's kind of being stubborn. Why is this one so stubborn? There we go. Moving that a little closer. Okay. And the next one here, another big one. That one was definitely not stubborn like the other one. Neither was that one. Yeah, one of the issues when you are using just a single tip when you're trying to get them is you have to get both sides heated up just right and be able to kind of get one side removed from that while you work on the other side. So it's definitely a lot tougher with one tip. And we'll remove these other small ones here. Those ones are coming up pretty easily. And then 2 small ones left. These are making it really easy to guide it in here and not melt any of this stuff. And there we go. Okay, and then what we're going to do now is get these spots all cleaned up and then start putting the capacitors back in there. The good ones, not the bad ones. Now, I always like trying to help people save a little bit of money. If you need something nice for getting some of the stuff like the Q-tips and capacitors in a nice metal container, this is a toothbrush holder you can get at Walmart for a few bucks. Works really well for storing all of the used capacitors and other junk. Okay, grabbing our 91% isopropyl alcohol and some Q-tips. Then we're just going to get all these areas cleaned up. Want to make sure all the flux is off there, plus any other gunk that might be on there. Now this one up here, when I was removing that, had one of those nice odors. Like, if you've ever recapped a Game Gear, you will know what odor I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure that capacitor itself was bad. Okay, just go over all these one more time with the Q-tip and isopropyl alcohol, and then I think we should be good. Just getting a few other spots cleaned up a little bit while we're at it, because they look kind of gross. So we're going to start with C122, which that is 100 UF 6 volt. Now some of the sizes on here are a bit more difficult to find, especially 6 volt ones. So we're going to do a step up and do 100 with 10 volts. So get the fan going again. Just be sure this is all good. Going to put a little fresh solder down here. And then when placing these, you want to look. This has a positive on this side here. And on these capacitors, the side with the black is the negative. Okay, we'll get that in place here. Heat up the solder and place that down. Okay, just make sure it's in there well. Then we'll do C133, that is 22 6 volts. So 22 UF 6 volt. We don't have a 6 volt one of that, we have 6.3. So that is what we will use. A little more solder down here on these pads. There we go. And get that heated up. And okay, we got that one down. So the next one, C164. That is the same size. Okay, just get a little more solder added on there. Down. Warm it up. Okay, as far as installing these, I think I'm going back to the single to focus on one side at a time. Still just a bit too much of a noob with the new toy. It worked really well for removing all of these though. So then we'll do C105 next. That is also a 22 UF, and we'll use the 6.3 volts on that one also. That one, the solder still looks good on the pad. Heat up this side. You know, it might help if I actually close out of that window so you can see what I'm doing here. So the pads look good on here, heated up this side, and now heating up this side. Oh, that plastic's just a bit too close. I'm actually going to go back to this one and just use one of the sides of it. So then we're on C102 next. That one is 3.3 UF 50 volts. Let's get a little more solder on there. And we actually had that exact size capacitor. How convenient. Get this side melted and in place. Then this side in place. Okay, there we go. Then C110 is next. 22 UF 6 volt. Just a little dab of fresh solder on there. And then we will heat up this side first, and then this side. Okay, we are good. Then these other 4 spots, just gonna go ahead and get a little bit of fresh solder added to each of them. So we'll do 200 first. That is another 22 UF 6 volt. Get that on here, and we will get this side warmed up, and then get this side warmed up. Okay, and we are good. And then the other three spots, C201, C202, and C101 are all 100 UF 10 volts. So we'll start with 101 Dalmatians. Heat up this side. It's good. And then this side. So we are good with that one. And then 202, we'll heat up this side first. Okay, and then this side. Okay, we are good with that one. And then 201, do the same thing. Heat up this side. Okay, that's good. And then heat up this side. Okay, so that batch of capacitors are done now. So this next batch that we're going to do will have 4 of them in it. We're going to leave this for the batch for the top part, but it will be these 3 by the LED, and then 1 over here. We'll get a little flux in place on these, and then we'll start getting these removed. Well, that was kind of a stinky one. Looks like it even left some residue behind down there. And then this next one here, that one didn't want to cooperate very well either. That one was also kind of stinky. I'll grab this one over here. That one came up with no issues. I'm gonna rotate the board so I don't burn the LED from my angle. And here we go. That one came up pretty easily. I rotated the board back around, going to pull out the Q-tips and isopropyl alcohol and get those spots cleaned up. There are also a few other spots on the board that I need to get cleaned up on here. Anything that's gross just needs to be cleaned up. Okay, those are good. See a bunch of dust up here. Just using a dry Q-tip right now on this. I'll do a better job cleaning the rest of this later on. Get around these. There's some junk on the board. There's a hair on the board right there. So we will start with C149, which is 47 UF 6 volts. And we have a 47 UF 6.3 volts, so that is what we'll use. I'm going to go ahead and treat all these spots with a little bit of fresh solder. Now with some of them like this one, where it's a little tougher to tell because the plus is closer to the center, the flat edge is going to be where the dark side goes. That's the negative. So we'll heat up this one, and then heat up this side. Okay, and that one's good. Didn't notice it from this angle, but when I saw it on the camera, there's still a little bit of gunk right up here. Try to get that cleaned up out of there. Okay, that's looking better. So then 135. That is another 47 UF. So we'll get that down here and heat that side up, and then heat up this side. Okay, that one's good. Then rotating the board again for this one. So C159. That one is 22 UF 6 volts. This time we'll actually heat up the negative side first, just so it's easier to view on the camera. That one's good. Let's see if we can get this side now. Okay, and that one's good. And then the last one for this batch, C961. That one is 10 UF 16 volts. We'll heat up this side. Okay, and then this side. Okay, that one's not cooperating on this side. So let's just get a little bit of solder down in here. Okay, and that one's good. So if you look at this, this is the fun that we have left on here. There are 30 more of those capacitors to change. So while I'm looking at it, I'm going to get this area cleaned up right here. That's kind of gross. I don't know what came in right here, but it definitely left some junk in there. Oh, there's also some fuzz down here. That's nice. I'll get a lot of that off when I'm changing those capacitors then. There's also gunk up through here. Which once again, that'll be a lot easier when I'm changing those capacitors to get those ones out. Now to go through and get the rest of these ones removed.
Where circuits collide. is calling, its heart's in a bind. Capacitors leaking, gotta save its mind. Snap, 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 gotta take them out. No time to stall, no time to doubt. Snap, 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 twist and shout. The TurboDuo's racing, let's clear it out. The soldiers flowing like molten gold. The traces are fragile, so I'm staying bold. With steady hands and a head full of dreams, I'm chasing perfection through silicon streams. One cap here, one cap gone, this customer power on. Snap, 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 gotta take them out. No time to stall, no time to doubt. Snap, 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 twist and shout. The TurboDuo's racing, let's clear it out. Oh, the fumes, the sparks, the ticking clock. It's a race, it's a chase, hear the seconds talk. Every joint, every pin, every tiny dot. I'm in the zone, giving all I got. The sparks, the ticking clock. It's a race, it's a chase, hear the seconds talk. Every joint, every pin, every tiny dot. I'm in the zone, giving all I've got.
And we have all those capacitors removed. That was quite a chore. So we're going to work now on getting these cleaned up, and then it will be the other chore of getting everything put back in there.
Circuit jungle, dirt and grime, a sticky race against the time. Turbo board all gunked up tight, can't hit the track until it's right. So the scars and fluxy trails, clean it up or this ship fails. Scrub, scrub, scrub the flux away. Gross gun can't win today. Wipe that board till it gleams and glows. Turbo speed's where this thing goes. Q-tips loaded, locked in hand. Alcohol wipes a greasy land. Every spec it mocks and sneers, but I'm the champ, no room for fear. Brush it here, dab it there. Turbo's gasping for fresh air. Clean it fast, make it shine. This old board will be divine. Scrub, scrub, scrub the flux away. Gross gun can't win today. Wipe that board till it gleams and glows. Turbo speed's where this thing goes.
And there we go, that is looking pretty clean now. So now it's time for the fun part, to get all those put back on. And kind of like the first part where went through those first two sets and like went over all the different sizes and everything, I'll share in the description the chart that I found on Console 5, and I'm just going to kind of go through and get that all quickly done on there. And then we have the rest of the cleaning to do on this. And then from there, put it back together and test it out. There we go. We made it through all, what was it, like 48 of those capacitors or something? Some insane amount. That was actually done over a couple days, but now it is time to clean the rest of the shell and then get this all put back together and test it out. Put that in our little anti-static bag. Let's see what we can lift out of here. I don't see any more screws going into the board, just those little blue stoppers. It's just kind of stuck. Okay, this looks kind of gross. I'm going to take this outside and spray it off really fast. So most of the stuff didn't actually come off with trying that. So it's time for our good old Clorox wipes. Yeah, that stuff got kind of caked on there. Okay, it's all coming off pretty well. Grab the brush, try to get some of this junk off of here. Base plate's looking pretty good now. I'm going to set it to the side so it can dry. There's some dust and stuff on here. I'm just going to see if I can get it wiped off with a cloth. This doesn't actually look that bad. The bottom of it doesn't look bad at all. Put that to the side. Actually, when the light adjusted, I realized I missed a spot. There we go. Now to be careful with this, just going to get some of this dust off of here. Okay, that is pretty good. Stick that inside one of these. And the top really isn't that bad. When it's taken apart before, I'm pretty sure they kind of touched up the top at least. Get some of that grease fly away. Get that wiped up. And the top part of this will use a Clorox wipe, just because that looks kind of caked on. Okay, that's looking pretty good. A little bit of dust inside the tray. Use our cloth to get that out of there. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And this part probably doesn't matter as much, but a little bit of dust up here. Just get that whole area wiped out. Okay, now I think we are good to start putting everything back together. So we will start with our base, then get our laser assembly back on here. These blue sections line up with these tabs on the board. Then we'll move these cables up, get our metal shield in place. It has multiple spots where it kind of lines up on the board, like these tabs here and different screw areas. And that tab right there hooks in there. Then we'll grab the main board for this. And lift up this front part. Slide the board on in here. Now it does line up on these different tabs that are along here too. Okay, that actually fit in there nicely. And then that tab there is good. So I think that is set in there just fine now. And we'll take this part and set it back in place down here. You have to kind of latch it between two plastic tabs here, and then it lines up down here. There we go. The cord from it plugs in over here. And then it's time for some quick soldering. So we had this part was soldered down here originally. Let's just add a little extra solder to make sure it stays. Okay, that seems good. Then we had this white cable was soldered in right here. So just kind of move that around here and get that back in place. That cable's good. And then we had this cable was soldered to that spot. So we'll just grab that. And that one is back in place too. Then to start getting the screws back in, we have right up here by this solder area is one of the shinier brass looking screws. Goes right here. And then over here we have one of the black screws, which the black ones are just a little bit longer than the brass ones. Get that one in there. Then the other screws to get the board in place. We have one of the brass ones goes back here. And then the other one goes right over here. And then right in the center of the board, we have a black one that goes right here. And then we'll get the rest of these cables plugged in. Luckily these three are all color-coded here. So we have the black cable goes here, the white cable goes here, and the red cable, oops, I didn't have that wire down there where it needed to be. There we go. Red cable goes here. All those cables are away from here, so that's good. I just look at the original video for taking it apart. This one needs to come back out, and then it goes under this other one. There we go. And then that's the one that gets covered by this. Okay, and then that just sets like that. So then at this point, I believe we get the top part put back on. Just sets right on over everything here. Then we'll flip this over, and then we have our 5 game bits that go in here. I would test this before doing this, but just because there's a disk drive in there, I don't want it to like rattle anything, so we're going to get everything put together so it's fully supported. Okay, that side's done. Center, it's good, and now this side. That one didn't want to go in there correctly. And there we go, that is all put back together. Now to get it all hooked up and tested. And it is all hooked up. We are going to start to make sure the disc game still works in it. The Hue card. So we'll put Bonk's Adventure back in there. And then turn it on. Awesome, we still have Bonk. Okay, so that is still good. So we'll remove that from there. Put it back up. Let me make the screen go away for a moment here. So we are getting Fighting Street in here. Closing that. Pop the screen back up, and let's see what happens with the disc. Okay, press the run button. It's spinning, and we have our game. I have never played the disc games for TurboGrafx at all. Fighting Street as opposed to Street Fighter. Of course, choosing Merca. Ryu versus Joe. Round 1. Fight. Okay, well, it works, so trying to see if there are any special moves that I can figure out. Right now it's just a bunch of punching and kicking and hopping. Okay, there is one more thing that I'm wanting to try. I'll just leave this running here. Okay, over on this side, there's a sound out. I just want to see if that works. That definitely works. Okay. I was kind of worried about it because there were a few of the capacitors were pretty busted over there. There are ones that we changed out, but I was just wanting to make sure everything was good from that. So we'll turn this off, unlock the disc, pop that out. Ignore this is a PS5 case this is in, but yeah, I should have noticed on the splash screen if I can get this into focus. But Capcom actually worked with Hudson Soft for making that. So that makes sense why it's pretty much Street Fighter. Get everything unplugged. Now this is the only other thing that bothered me about it. Look how gross that controller is. So we're going to get that popped apart really fast and get it cleaned out. It's like it's just Phillips screwdriver. Just using a size 1 Phillips right now. That seems to do the trick. Okay, 2 down, 3 to go. And 1 screw left. There we go, got the screws out, pop the back off. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad inside. But it wouldn't be this channel if we didn't pop everything apart and clean it though. Just gonna get all these popped out of here. Buttons look the same on the front. Get those down. Then the turbo buttons, get those out of there. Or turbo toggles, I guess. So I'm gonna start by using a Clorox wipe on these just to get all that grossness off of them. Just want to take extra care on the sticker on the front of the front plate. Start with the back plate. Inside wasn't too bad on this one. Get the back part. Now when a controller was this gross, kind of you can either use alcohol or just use dry Q-tips, just kind of get some of the gunk cleaned out from inside the screw holes. Quick wipe over those. Okay, the back of the shell's good. And now the front. Inside isn't too bad, as I'm cleaning hair out from in here. This is where it's gross, where it kind of connected together. Keeping my hand how it is here just so the Clorox wipe doesn't accidentally get to the other side and hit that label. Okay, get inside, get the top part wiped off. And then the front. Just kind of gently going over the label to get that grime off of it. Just don't want to waterlog it. Okay, then run Q-tips in each of these areas. Use our towel just to kind of dry off the label here, anything that was left on it. That's looking pretty good now. Then all of these are going to use some isopropyl alcohol and Q-tips just to get them all cleaned up. Just pour a little bit of that in there. In cleaning time, start with all of the silicone parts. Get the directional pad one done. Okay, and then the select and run. Then we'll get the buttons all done. Make sure to get around them pretty well. This one, those buttons actually weren't in that bad of shape. The directional pad, this one's kind of gross through here. Okay, that's looking pretty clean now. Back part is not bad. It's the spot on the top. There we go. And these ones, it's just the top part that's really gross on these. Yeah, the bottom's not bad on either of them. They have metal on there, so I'm just gonna look at that. Give that a quick wipe off for the connection. Okay. Start loading all these back in the controller, and then we will get the board for the controller cleaned up. These are all directional and work pretty well. Okay, we have that part done. Now before getting the board cleaned, you can use a Clorox wipe on the cable and the end part because those are pretty gross. Just doing that because if we accidentally get any Clorox juices on the board, we'll get to clean them right up. There we go, that's what was on the cord and the connector for it. I've seen worse, but just needed to be cleaned up. Okay, then we'll get all of these connector parts wiped up, just so the buttons and everything hit it really well. Get the slides cleaned up. Okay, the back looks fine on there. That is looking pretty good now. Going to get it put all back together, and then we should be good. Okay, we have that part in place. This goes on top of that. It lines up with these little tabs right here. And then the back goes over that. And then we get all of our screws back in. Just holding it up just so the buttons don't push in and cause any issues. Grime that was still on there. There we go. We have our nice clean controller now. I hope this was helpful or enjoyable for you. If you have a TurboGrafx 16 or a TurboDuo, what are your favorite games for it? Let me know in the comments. I have a lot of fun with Newtopia. Newtopia is pretty much Legend of Zelda game, one of the top-down ones, but for the TurboGrafx 16. If you have any questions or anything, or would do things differently, let me know in the comments. If you like this kind of stuff, then make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a thumbs up on this. I want to thank you for watching. Have a nice day.
Thanks for watching our show today. We hope you smiled along the way. From pixel dreams to jokes we play. Like and subscribe, it's the thing to do. Join the crew, red, white, and blue. Gumptendo.